What's going on, Hail Stalkers? Lead meteorologist John Triquette here, streaming from my house. We had some ice here this morning in Oklahoma City, and that kind of kept us at home, unfortunately. But that doesn't stop us doing a forecast, so we're going to jump right into it. Dang it, had a sneeze there. So we're just going to look at current conditions right now. We don't have all the bells and whistles of the normal forecast. Taylor did send me some of the forecast graphics, but we'll just kind of talk about what's happening currently here, right? So we have, if we do a zoomed out view and we turn on the precipitation types, we do have up to the north here where we have our Raising Hail Tour event happening right now. Looks like some snow has started across the Chicagoland area. So I think a lot of folks who are at the Raising Hail Tour may end up having a much longer ride home than they were anticipating, just because we are going to see a few inches of snow there. Here in Oklahoma City, it is cold. All the precip has moved on out, thankfully, but the main focus is going to be down here across sections of the Deep South, where we have a recently issued tornado watch for parts of Louisiana, and if we remove the radar and Sally here, we do have an enhanced risk today from about Hattiesburg up through Montgomery, Alabama. So we'll just kind of go over what we're seeing right now. So we do have this mesoscale discussion talking about there was a 95% chance of a tornado watch because storms were likely going to form. And we do have that tornado watch in effect now. It's in effect till 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tornadoes possible, wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour, and hail up to 1-inch diameter. Hail is not the big story here today with this forecast. With this forecasted severe weather event, it's definitely more the damaging winds and the tornado threat. Or again, here, 50% chance of 2 or more tornadoes, 20% of them being anything strong. But notice how low that hail chances are, only about 20 and 10%. Nothing too crazy. The big thing, if you're watching here in Alabama or Louisiana or Mississippi, especially across lots of Mississippi and Alabama, it has been cloudy and it has been raining a good chunk of the day. But notice if I loop back a little bit here and then push things forward, you notice that there is a pretty hard cutoff across sections just to south of Montgomery all the way down into Louisiana, and that is where you have a warm front moving itself up to the north pretty quickly here, and that is allowing for some atmospheric recovery, allowing for dew points to rise. Notice there's a pretty harsh cutoff here, 53-degree dew point in Montgomery, but down to 67 in Mobile. Notice it is steamy down here in New Orleans. Temperatures in the low 80s with dew points in the low 70s. So that is why we have that tornado watch in effect. We do have a lot of potential instability here for some severe weather. So we're going to switch over now. We're going to kind of look at some of the forecast models. Let me just maximize my screen here. We're going to look at a couple different things to kind of see what we're expecting for today, and then Taylor was able to throw together some graphics here on the Mac system to while she was at the event to show you guys. So we'll start off here with the available energy within this event. And there isn't anything too crazy. This is the mixed layer, so this isn't even like surface space. So this is why there's not going to be a lot of hail with this. It's only about 1,000 when normally you need quite a bit more for some serious hail. If you look at the shear, so the shear, so that's the change in direction of wind with height. So the higher up in the sky you go, the different directions the winds are spinning. That's what you really need for a lot of tornadic activity. And there's ample amounts of that here this afternoon across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So that's like the real big concern, right? So you have a very highly sheared environment, a lot of spin in that atmosphere. You have a lot of moisture available. The Gulf of Mexico, as we've probably had the last handful of years, is very, very warm. So that allows for quite a bit of available energy and available instability to allow for thunderstorms to form here. So I'm going to zoom in a bit, just pretty much over the areas that are most at risk this afternoon. And it's going to be two separate times when I think storms are going to happen. So we have first the storms that form this afternoon out ahead of the main line of storms. So notice here about 4 o'clock Central Time, we have these supercells near Meridian, Jackson, down by Baton Rouge, or by Hattiesburg. This is where your best chance for hail is going to be. Anything that does have hail will be in these isolated supercells scattered about here, and anything that has the little tracks, you could have some tornadoes as well. There is that potential with any kind of isolated storms through this evening. So somewhere between about 3 p.m., maybe about 8 p.m. Across Mississippi, pretty much south of I-20 in Mississippi, anywhere down here from like the Baton Rouge area points east in Louisiana, anywhere south of Montgomery in Alabama. So if there's going to be any stronger tornadoes, it will definitely be with this lead convection. So any kind of isolated storms all by themselves could get some pretty intense tornado potential. As the evening wears on, another round of storms of more of a squall line situation as the cold front races across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. That will all also have that potential for the strong gusty winds up to 70 miles an hour, and tornadoes, QLCS, so the little spin-up tornadoes within a line of storms as well. Those also obviously can be very intense, and more concerningly, it's much harder to see them because they're usually in the rain. They spin up really fast, come down, do their damage, and then move on. So they may not necessarily be the big flashy EF3, EF4 tornadoes, but those are always scary nonetheless. And that timeline, again, depending on where you are, from west to east, about 6 p.m. Back towards Baton Rouge, and then it'll be moving through Alabama here by 4 o'clock in the morning. Again, with that majority of the area at risk is really going to be focused on where the Storm Prediction Center has their risk here, that enhanced risk with that strong tornado potential. And that strong tornado potential is really going to be this afternoon, early this evening for a lot of folks. So just kind of moving along here pretty quickly, we're going to start with that tornado forecast graphic here that Taylor put together, and that really does highlight, Hattiesburg. You have that, we have a slightly different risk level here, but the higher risk for anywhere here in the hash, that most significant area, again, that's going to be for any tornadoes that could be EF2 or greater. This doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see a tornado in Hattiesburg, you're going to see a tornado in Montgomery or anything, but the chances are there. And again, that timeline looks to be somewhere between about 3 o'clock this afternoon through about 8 or 9 o'clock this evening, and that's kind of earlier west and later east. So again, that's where the most severe chance for tornadoes really are. Otherwise, when we do have the squall line moving through this evening, that is, or afterwards this evening, that is when we'll see that other tornado risk come into play as well as the wind risk. I think there will be some pretty widespread wind here. Again, we have the moderate chances from Jackson to Baton Rouge to Tuscaloosa, Atlanta, Destin, and the areas like Atlanta and Destin, that's gonna be a lot later this evening, like not even this evening, late at night after 3 o'clock in the morning local time, getting close to daybreak. You're gonna have these storms move through here, the Atlanta area, and I think the gusts, the most intense gusts, I think, will happen likely in Mississippi and western Alabama, where you have the most forcing. It's going to be earlier in the evening, so you're going to have a little more energy to work with. And the further to the east you get, the less intense the wind gusts will be. I think Atlanta, you could see gusts 65 or less, while over by Hattiesburg, you could see those gusts to 70. And I think it's very likely you're going to have multiple rounds of storms here. Again, anywhere south of I-20 in Mississippi, so that's going to be your highest risk chance for today. The hail forecast, again, the only time there will be any hail will be with that initial activity that moves through. So that's why we have, and it's a low chance as well at that, low for Hattiesburg and Jackson, and Tuscaloosa is Tuscaloosa is probably the farthest north you could possibly get with any hail today. I think it's very likely that, again, those storms, those isolated supercells are really going to want to stay south of I-20, which is this highway right here on my screen. So from Jackson to Tuscaloosa. That is where, if you have an isolated supercell, it gets very strong and it's able to, maintain itself really well. Yeah, you could see some hail up to 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inch in diameter if you really want to get spicy with it. But for the most part, I think it's really going to be limited to a wind and tornado event here for the day today. And then, looks like we got a future radar video here as well, so we can bring this up. And then it just really highlights, again, that activity that's moving through here. We got a couple different model runs moving, those two different areas of convection. Again, those isolated supercells followed by the squall line that moves through. It'll be much cooler across a lot of the southeast tomorrow, and as that cold front moves through. Big snowstorm up north as well here in Chicago, and then points east as this whole thing moves off to the east. But for the most part, the severe weather, you got the higher risk for tornadoes today. So high risk severe weather overall. There will very likely be severe weather. I think the Met team will be pretty busy today, even though we're not at the office. We're obviously going to be still doing stuff here, covering these storms for you, making sure everything is goes by without us seeing. Nothing's gonna go by without us seeing it. So high risk for high winds. I think flooding will be low, hail will be low, but yeah, that's high chances for wind and tornadoes. There is also, before we wrap things up, moving ahead, there is a marginal chance of some storms tomorrow as this big squall line just kind of pushes off the coast. This will likely be in the first part of the day across southern Georgia and the Texas Panhandle, Florida Panhandle. And then it's quiet until Saturday. Yeah, look at that, Saturday. We have a 30% already. So we're pretty much locked and reloading here for the same basic area that's at risk today. I think this could be a much more impactful event on Saturday. A pretty potent storm system's kicking out here, and you're gonna get a lot of moisture recovery on Friday across portions of Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, East Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, parts of Georgia. This could be a pretty potent system. I'm sure we'll have more updates with that tomorrow and on Friday as well, and we'll obviously be covering it for you guys on Saturday. But definitely something to keep a very, very close eye on. We have could be a pretty big tornado event and also a pretty big winter weather event further up north. We are in an extremely active pattern right now across the United States. If you are a big if you're a big lover of snow up north, this is the pattern to be in, because it is we are getting storm system after storm system here, and I'll show that to you guys right now at the latest American model update. So we have the first system moving through today. That's what we're seeing across the country here. And notice that by the time tomorrow evening rolls around, we have another storm system moving into California. That will push across the country, and it's kind of a carbon copy of what we just had, where we have a new storm system that moves to the east here. Probably won't get any winter weather on Saturday in Oklahoma here. It'll likely stay off to the north, but a pretty potent storm system moving through Saturday evening into the overnight hours. Overnight events are never any fun for tornadoes, especially in the deep south. And then that will push through on Sunday, and then look at that, we just kind of reload again. And we get another storm system to form here by midweek next week as well. And that could push through. It could be a pretty big move now, so it could be a big nor'easter for the northeast. And then we keep pushing out a little bit more into what we call fantasy land, much further out. Another storm system tries to push through here towards the end of the run as well. So if you're a fan of big snow up in the northeast, you're probably going to see quite a bit of snow here. And this does allow, the very active pattern like this does allow for a pretty active February for severe weather. Not necessarily for hail. A lot of this is very driven by like a cold front or something that's really doing a lot of forcing. And you have a lot of forcing, it really minimizes that potential for hail. So I'll have to keep track of. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Obviously, I didn't get the sponsors or anything on here, so I'm just doing it from my laptop, and I don't think I have the newest ads, so I didn't want to play old material. Thanks to all our sponsors. You guys know what they are. They're in the comment. They are in the description below. And as always, thanks for tuning in. We should have a video tomorrow, whether it's me or Joey or Taylor. It really just depends on, will the Hail Trace team be able to fly back from Chicago this evening. But whatever it is, we'll be here around 12 o'clock giving you guys those updates and making sure that you're weather aware and ready to roll for whatever comes. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next one.